nucleus and replace it with the nucleus of another cell. Then use chemicals to make the cell replicate and go into a new organism. This is cloning. Cloning is a very controversial issue that I believe should be legalized, yet should be heavily regulated. Human cloning is deemed unethical because it is seen as unappealing to want to make an exact replica of oneself. But a clone would not be an exact replica. It would actually be less identical to the original than identical twins would be. Because whereas twins grow up in the same household, same living conditions, same generation, a clone would live as the child of the original, and as such would grow up differently, would grow up in a different generation with new technology. Another main argument against cloning is that it isn't safe. This is true. There are very high risks in the cloning process, but with new research and new technology, these risks can be virtually eliminated, and the process would still be left up to the mother. She would still have the decision as to whether to go through with it or not. The main argument against cloning is caused by an irrational fear of the possibilities and the risks. But in order to get rid of this fear, we need to understand what cloning is. There are two main types of cloning. There's therapeutic cloning and reproductive cloning. Reproductive cloning is where a cell is cloned in order to create a new organism. Therapeutic cloning is where stem cells are isolated and used to grow replacement organs, nerve tissues, and skin tissues. Reproductive cloning is the more opposed of the two, but therapeutic cloning has some opposition as well. Today, there are no laws prohibiting cloning, but there are laws prohibiting the federal funding of cloning. There is no law prohibiting any private funding of cloning, but 12 states do have laws regulating cloning. The other 38 have no laws even regarding cloning. 38 states have no laws mentioning cloning at all. Cloning should be legalized, but it should be carefully regulated. There should be regulations on what procedures you can use, and those procedures should be written down carefully during the entire process so that the society knows exactly what is going into the cloning process. Laboratories that use cloning procedures should also be carefully regulated and should be inspected every year or every other year to make sure that they are still up to the standard practices and technology. Cloning is important to biotechnology. Cloning will help us understand more about DNA, genetics, and cells, which could save lives in the future, which could help prevent genetic diseases. So, it's up to you. It's up to you to educate the world about cloning. Would you say no to a process that could save millions of lives?